overall, like once you kind of hit high school, some people do mature up and they kind of stop bullying, or I just really learned how to like really not let it bother me because it's their own problem and whatever.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Finola. I'm Kalina.
I'm Piyang.
And the purpose of our PS series is just to talk about different impersonal experiences throughout people's lives. And today we have my friend Dara here to join us. Dara, can you just introduce yourself to everyone?
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Dara Jean. Fun fact is I love Disney. You don't see it, but that wall has my Disney stuff. This wall has my New York stuff.
Oh,
And I'm an actor in the Twin Cities.
nice. That's pretty cool. What would you say is your favorite Disney movie?
Ooh, yeah, that one took a couple years, fine. But my favorite is Ratatouille. Do you guys know that one?
Oh,
Yes, I love Ratatouille.
why is it your favorite?
Oh gosh, like first of all, I don't know how to cook, but I love watching other people cook, and I just love the story. Like some of my favorite quotes are like, "Anyone can cook, but only the fearless can be great." That one I take with me as an actor because I get scared at auditions and things like that, and also like when Remy was fighting with his dad, and the dad was like, "We can't change nature," and Remy says, "Change is nature, and it starts when we decide." So I was like, "Yes!" So it really relates to me. So that's my favorite. Not a
Wow.
movie, but a rap movie.
Wow, those are really good, very inspirational quotes. But because you mentioned that you are an actor, what got you into acting?
Oh, that's a hard one. It's a long story because I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to go into nursing or the medical field like most parents have their kids do. Um so my heart was really set on being a nurse cuz like I took all the nursing classes. I was a CNA. I took like a medical competition and got third in the state of Wisconsin. Yeah, so I was like I am doing this. And then freshman year of college, I was like, oh, no one knows me. Let me change it up just a little bit. Let's have one theater class. And then that's when theater bug bit me. And I just kept taking more classes. I actually took classes secretly because I was not supposed to, right? Because I was supposed to be a nurse. For all my mom knew, I was supposed to be a nurse. So I took these classes secretly. And then it got to a point by like junior year that I just loved it way too much that I was like, I just have to change my major. And I became a double major. So theater and drama and human development. And now that I moved up here to Twin Cities, I'm like, I'm gonna stick with theater. That's my calling.
How was like, cause like the first theater class that you've had, like how was that like? Cause I've never taken a theater class before, and I'm like, I'm kind of just too scared to take it. So, like, what is your experience with it?
Oh yeah, it was definitely scary. It's theater 150, so basics of acting, and it was just me and a bunch of other like freshmen. So the class was just very much on like, oh, let's read a script and see what you think about it. To me, it was a lot of like charades, like it's trying to get you to open up and feel more comfortable and confident in your choices. But then like after that class, I was like, it was just charades. I'm gonna try a little harder. Let's go a little harder. So I went to the next level, which then was like a lot deeper, where we did a lot more character analysis and script reading. And that's when I was like, oh, there you go. This is acting. The first one was just more like, obviously, it was introducing me, but I was like, we're just playing. Let me get a little bit. So it was definitely scary. But like I'm a really, really shy person. But for some reason, it works. Like when I'm in that class and they teach you, it helps me not be as shy.
I once took a drama class, and it was like it was just like a lot of different exercises, but I was still like afraid to like go out of my comfort zone. So I don't know if I can.
Yeah, it's so crazy because sometimes we had this one exercise where it was me and another student, and they're like, and then the teacher's like, okay, pretend a dog is coming at you, and it's a really cute dog, and we had to react to it, be like, oh, he's so cute, and he's like, okay, now I came to you, now eat it, and I was like, what?
Gosh, what?
Then he's like, oh, I just want like I did it, but it was very embarrassing. But then he's like, no, the purpose of that was because it really threw you off. It teaches you to act on the spot.
Mm.
So
Oh,
yeah, it's a little intimidating.
um,
It was fun. So after that, I was like, wow, okay, that was really random and awkward, but I did it, and I'm still alive. So
yeah. How did your like parents feel about when you or when you change it, or like how did you feel like when you were trying to tell them that like I'm not gonna go into the medical field anymore?
yeah, it was hard. I remember my sister and I we had this talk about it for a while, where she made me realize that it was very similar to like like people who are in the LGBTQ community and they had to stay in the closet. It was very much like that, where it was a part of who I am and identity, and I couldn't share it. So it was very suffocating. It was very hard, especially when she would ask me questions about, what did I learn, and I can't answer that because I'm not taking that class anymore. But I remember I think it was fall, and I brought it up with my mom, and we were in the car. She picked me up from class, and I told her, I was like, "Hey, mom, I really like theater, and I was thinking about switching majors to be a theater major instead." And it was so quiet for so long, and she said, I don't know if you're gonna make it." So that that was very heartbreaking to have your parents say that. But I know that she's coming from a place of a lot of love and care, right? That she's just like, I really don't want you to do it because it is a risky, so unstable job and things like that. So she's like, but if you really want to, you can. But I really, really like encourage you not to. But of course, I was like, okay, there you go, got it. It was hard though. Like the good thing is that she did still come to like my plays when I got casted. But then like to have her be excited about my plays and stuff like compared to my sister who's like a pharmacist, like when she's like,
Mhm.
oh mom, my paper got published again, and then my mom would be like, oh, I'm so proud, and I'm like, I got in a play. She's like, okay,
Mhm.
okay, so it's still a struggle now too. But I found that that's who I am, and I found like confidence and love in that. So it's kind of like, yeah, she'll come.
Do you
Yeah.
think, um, since she has seen you like in like what is it called, actually acting and doing what you want to do you think that kind of helped her warm up to the idea that you were switching your career path?
Yeah, definitely. Right when I got to my first play, oh, it was really interesting because like she came to watch it, I think opening night, because I
Mhm.
told her to, and she did. And she did give me some pointers too. She was like, "Oh, Dara, for this scene, actually, I think it'll look better if you did this." So like she is very like engaged into it, but then the support I'm looking for is like when I am down or when I get something like a gig, like she's not really like jumping on bandwagon.
Mhm.
But when I actually get it, she's like, "Okay, no, that's good." She comes from a place of a lot of love because, like, my first short film, I had to travel to a different city. And yeah, like, I was still a college student and it was a short film. And my mom's like, don't go. Don't go. You don't know what it could be about. You don't know if these people are actually real or if it's going to be safe. And I was this close. Like, the day before filming, I was almost going to, like, stop because, like, she was just so afraid that it transferred onto me that I became very afraid. That I was like, oh, maybe I am gonna get hurt by this or something. But I decided to do it and it was a great experience. So, like every project I take on, even though she tells me not to, I do not encourage you go against your parents. Saying that because I love it so much. She sees I love it. So she's kind of letting it go now. She still thinks that it's more of like a hobby, but I'm like, no, mom, it is a job. I'm doing it for real. So she's still pushing on to like, oh, nursing school is still going on. But then like she also lets it go when I tell her, oh, mom, I got into this gig. She's like, oh, okay, that's good compared to before where she was very like, what? What are you doing? So it's opening up, which helps a lot because my brother he was supposed to be in physical therapy. So again, with the whole medical field, my
Mhm.
and us. and he really hated it. So because I became an actor and I was showing them that I love it so much, like I became a much more positive and happy person, that my mom actually let him study film. You know, so like first of all, lucky boy, I saved him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so pissed. But it's okay. I'm glad that I'm the one that opened the door and let him
Mhm.
come through. That was very hard for me. So yeah, like the world of art is finally a subject that we can accept in my family now. Before it used to be very like very law school, medical school, very like IT kind of stuff. Now it's like, oh, art is a possibility. It's still a struggle, but now it's there.
I know you talked about kind of like when you did talking about like character analysis, and I know like there's some theater majors in some of my classes at my school, and they talk about how hard it can be sometimes to get into character, or like when they study their character, it's kind of difficult to like be a character that doesn't match their personality. How was that process like for you?
Oh, yeah. I'm still learning. You know, every actor, they should always continue to grow and learn their craft, right? So I can say it's still very hard for me. Like for a character that matches my values, you know, my beliefs is really easy because it's already me being that. But when we see a character that isn't us, like for over the summer, I was in a workshop where we get to play as villains, you know. So that was really interesting because like my type is not villain at all. Yeah, so that was really interesting. My teacher had to really teach me how to find this character in you, because as an actor, you have to find what in you matches this character. That way you can empathize with the character and then let the character come in and be you. Does that make sense? Yeah, so for my villain, she was really walking me through, like we had to come up with like things that could relate. So it's like my character, my villain had this line where it's basically saying that, oh, that I'm telling the main person that, you know, you shouldn't trust everyone and things like that. Like we need to keep everyone in line. And because I'm not that kind of person, she had to tell me like, well, who would you tell that to? Are you protecting something that you would tell this person that? So I had to think about it. I was like, oh, you know, I really, really love my family and my brothers, you know. So I had to picture that if I'm protecting them, I would have to tell this stranger to do what's wrong in order to protect them. You know, so you had to find what in you would make you react. So it's very hard. And then there's like this method acting, which people can get really drawn into. I'm not so sure about method acting just because it could go so wrong. Because you know, like Heath Ledger, I believe the guy who played Joker, he was a method actor. He got so into his character that, you know, bad things did happen, and there's a lot of actors, a lot of stories where things like that has happened. So that's a very high skill level of acting that I'm not sure I can reach or I want to.
Like, how did you feel like for your first audition?
My first audition was for the first play I ever got casted in, so I was very lucky that the first one made it. You know, um, so it's the play is called T, and thankfully I knew the director. He was my professor, so I think he was able to find enough Asian American or Asian students that were interested in acting that he decided to do this play where the whole cast were 5 Asian women. And thankfully, I was one of his students, so I had a higher chance. So I feel like I was really lucky at my first audition because I basically walked in and we didn't even really audition the way a typical audition would be like, where I have a script, now a monologue, and I will say the monologue out, you know, and then he will decide whether or not he wants me. It almost felt like I went in and he already knew he wanted me because we had class together. He taught me, he knows how I'm like. So we went in and he basically just talked to me and then I left. And then I got casted. So I was like, okay, that works. But I could do like a different audition. So
Yeah.
um, I would say that maybe like my second audition was for we had this one guest director come from the Goodman Theater in Chicago, and he really really good. He came in and that was so intimidating because first of all, a guy from Chicago is gonna be directing a play. So I went in and I was so scared. I was lucky that this character is Asian and Asian woman, so I have a better chance of being Asian. And I was just shaking so much because I was like, this guy, he is a professional and I am a college student. it was so scary. I was shaking, but the good thing is that right when I start acting, I do lose everyone else. It's just me, my scene, and my scene partner. So that's a good thing that everything disappeared. I was just very much engrossed into my character. But afterwards, it was just I remember leaving the audition room with the biggest smile on my face. People on the streets probably thought I was crazy because it's like those movies that you guys seen it where they just come out literally like smiling and almost skipping down the street. That was me. And my audition was like 8 p.m. So it's some crazy girl. I was just so happy because I was like, oh my gosh, this is like an actual Chicago director, that he just watched me. And I was lucky enough to get a call back. I didn't get the gig, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So another friend of mine got it, which I think she matches the role perfectly. So I'm not upset at all. For me, it's always like if it supports the story, I don't need to get casted. I support it, right? Um, I didn't get cast, but I was just so happy that he saw me and he was like, Dara, you're really good. I just couldn't cast you because the other person just looks so much better as the character, but you're really good. Keep working on it. So I was like, oh, okay. And this is me as like a sophomore in college, so it meant a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, auditions don't get easier though. Like I've been auditioning a lot, and I just auditioned this morning, and I was still like shaking and everything. Like afterwards, I had to come down from the high. I had to lay in my bed. I literally laid on my bed. I was like, okay, bring down the adrenaline, because like auditions are like 10 minutes, but that's like some high anxiety stuff. But
Mhm.
it doesn't get easier. But
So you talked about how you're an Asian American in the theater field, and I have a really good friend of mine who's also a theater major, and I remember her telling me like the struggles that she had being Asian American in the theater major. And did you have to go through that too with like your classmates or just like during auditions or anything like that?
yeah, very good question. It's a hard one that for me my experiences it has been that hard, and because theater is a very is more white dominant you know setting, which I understand, and it is very hard. There's been multiple times where I walk into the audition room and no one looks like me. I'm the only Asian there, and I I have so much anxiety and so much doubt. I'm like, I'm not gonna even get it. It's so obvious. Like I remember specifically this one audition I went for, and it was for a family, and everyone there was like white. So I was like, how are they going to cast an Asian daughter when every actor that came to the audition is white? So I already knew I lost my chances. And I was like, it's okay, Dara, just leave. You're not gonna even get it. So there was so much like doubt and fear. But like my quote from Ratatouille, right? I was like, no, I need to stand my ground and show them that I'm different. Yes, I'm Asian. I'm not, white like the rest of the actors that have came to the audition room. But I need to stand my ground and show that, hey, there are people of color that wants to be on here too. They have a story to tell. So it's so hard. And what I could just tell actors of color is just take a deep breath and stay. You have just as much right to be there. It is so, so scary being the only person of a color. It like thinking about it, I'm actually kind of shaking because it was just so you just feel so alone. But you have to the point is to stay in order to open the path for others after you to come, right? So if that means you have to be the one in the front of the battle, you have to be that person. Stand your ground, stay there. And over time, I got more confident where I'm like, I don't even care if this character's name is like, like Kathy or um, Megan. I'm going to audition for it to show them that, hey, I can be a Kathy, I could be a Megan. It doesn't matter how my skin looks like. I'm telling the story. I matched that girl's story. So like I said, I'm very much about supporting the story. So I'm like, it doesn't matter how you look like. I can tell that story too. Hopefully your friend watches this and gets the inspiration that, just stay. It's scary, but fight it. You have to fight it.
Yes, I'll definitely share this with her. So thanks for saying all that.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I'm so glad you have a friend that is interested. I'm always looking for people because I'm like, come on, we can go in here. It's fun. It's fine.
Do you have any people that like influences you in any way with acting?
Let's see. So like an idol or celebrity actor
Mm-hmm.
too would be Meryl Streep, just because she's so good at what she does. Like she's so good at being different characters and with such class and poise, and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. But going away from celebrities that I look up to, just in general, like my family, my sisters, like the women in my family, I really look up to. They're such go-getters, um, and I guess in a way, I'm what you call this like a role model, but like I have my three younger brothers that I love so much, and they motivate me or they inspire me to be a better person for them. So it's kind of like that loop that works.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't. It's not like I follow Meryl Streep and like, oh, I need to be like her.
Yeah.
I just love her, but then like it's for my family that I'm like I need to do what I love to show them they can.
So then with acting, do you hope to like one day like act for like in a Broadway or like in movies or
I love musicals, as you can tell, Hamilton. But I can't sing for my life, so I can't do that. But yeah, my dream is to make it up there. Everyone wants to be in like Hollywood and blockbuster movies. Um, I would love to someday. It would be amazing. But my biggest thing is it's never supposed to be about me, right? My plan is to like yeah, hopefully I get cast up there. But my plan is to get representation of Asian American women. That's so important because like when I was younger, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender, but like I never thought that representation was a big thing. Growing up, I was like, oh yeah, my Barbie doll, she's white, but she's so pretty. I don't mind. Oh, all these leads, they're white women, but they're so cool. They're so pretty. I don't mind. And it wasn't until I saw Toph Beifong as a high schooler that I was like, that's me. Like I had the biggest like explosion where I was like, that's me right up there. And I was like, oh my gosh, now I know why people are always fighting to get, representation on TV. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I should have known. But I just didn't. And when I saw her, I saw me and I was like, because she's up there, it means I could be up there too. And so my lifelong dream as an actor or as an artist is to be able to do that too. It's like hopefully if I'm ever in front of the screen, I can show another little Hmong girl that she could be up there too. That keep dreaming, keep fighting to be up there. And overall, I'm just very much on like have you guys seen like all those Asian American movies or Asian movies where they always tie in tradition in there, which is great. I'm all for it. I think it's wonderful. But I'm also, I also wonder, it's like, why can't Spider-Man happen to be Hmong or happen to be Asian? Like, why do we always have to put emphasis on our culture whenever we are represented in a movie
Mhm.
or we're in a movie, right? So I'm always like, no, I want to. If I can't be in front of the camera, I want to be behind the camera where I can just show that, hey, yeah, we happen to have a spy, like a really cool spy who happens to be Asian, or the president happens to be Asian. Our culture, our traditions have nothing to do with it. We just so happen to do it to like normalize
Mhm.
characters. So for Asian viewers, we don't see it as kung fu master all the time. It's just no. I can be an actor. No, I can be a doctor too. So, lifelong dream is not just me in front of the camera, but me being able to put us on there.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember. I think I was like reading an article about how like people are really wanting to change how where people of color are not just like the supporters anymore, or like because it's always like Asians are that one smart person, but they're like a support and they're not really the lead cast. And I remember like reading that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like really true because then people of our color often like stereotyped into a certain character, and it feels like it's always been that way. And so I think it's really cool and nice to see how people are really fighting for like, hey, like we can also be like lead characters too. So
Yeah, definitely. It's like I forgot his name. My goodness, but like I don't really watch. I believe the show is Grey's Anatomy. I don't really watch it much. I do enjoy it, but I don't really follow it. But I believe there's like this new actor in there. He's Asian as well, and I was like, oh, and he's just a doctor. They don't try to talk about him being Asian or anything. He's just a doctor, saving lives, doing what he does. And it's like, yeah, we do need more Asian leads in there, and we don't need any of that, stereotypical stuff in there. Like right now, like I'm just me. Can we just show me?
in your opinion, like the most difficult obstacle of being an actor?
Uh, it's a hard one. That's my answer. Is that being an actor is hard because a lot of people they see acting as you're just playing, oh whatever, but it's like no, it is a real job, and it's just like our hours are crazy. Sometimes you don't get gigs, like especially during the pandemic right now. There's so many actors are not able to do any movies or any plays or anything, and it's very hard. So you really have to love it. I think that's the bottom line. Is every time I tell myself that I want to just stop because it's just so hard, but then like if I can't let it go, it means I love it so much, then I can fight. You really have to fight, especially being an Asian actor. um there's already so little role for us, and for the 20 Asian actors that can actually get in, they have to really fight for it. So like this is gonna be a long run.
Mhm.
Don't just do it for the glam. It should never be for the glam. Just because you're pretty or you're or whatever, right? It's like no, you have to really love it because it's hard. Rejection is hard. You're gonna get thousands of no's, and you need to be able to stand back up the next day and be like, do it again. Let's go submit one more time for other places.
How many like auditions like would you take like in a week or a month? I don't know.
It is different now.
Yeah.
Let's see, because I do have an agent, and she does really well at sending me out or giving me auditions to submit to. But I'm also very much for like I can look for it myself. Just because I have an agent doesn't mean I stop, right? So that's for all actors. Until you're like up there and they could give you those big roles, that I guess is fine. But before COVID, maybe 2, 3 a week. Like I know some people they are even more hardcore than I am.
Mhm.
Like it's okay, I don't it's not a competition. I want to choose projects that I can really feel for, because in the past when I first started acting, I just really took in anything, not paid, or I would never do a story that I'm so against. But like I've done some for free, I've done some for just to get experience, and now I'm like no, I had to really like the story to connect to it.
Mhm.
Like 2 or 3 a week.
Out of like, I guess like the different scripts or like plays that you've like read in school and like kind of read, like what is like your favorite? Or do you have like a project or like a play that if it ever gets into production that you would really like to be casted in?
Are you talking about like a play I've been in that I would love to see it like remastered, or are you?
Or just like any type of play that you like?
Oh, oh, way to put me on the spot. I don't remember what it's called. I was part of this reading, I guess, a stage reading. So that's basically where we're not like full blown acting with all the theatrics, but we're there with a script and we're still acting, but we're not moving around like crazy. Oh, this is not a true story. That's what it's called. It is so good. The stage read I was in was called "This Is Not True Story" by Preston Choi, and I think it was just so amazing. Like I love stories where things kind of like cross into each other, and it's just like a huge mess, but then like at the end it all makes sense. Like this one was so good because it's about three women and they are part of like the classics. I think it was Madame Butterfly, you guys know that one. Miss Saigon,
Mhm.
and it's basically he's in the play. He's basically saying is like, why do women or Asian women have to be killed off at the end to make it dramatic, to make it beautiful, right? Or it's like, wait, isn't the lead like a 13-year-old? Why is she like in love with this old man? That doesn't make any sense. So he is putting light onto that idea, and I think it's just beautifully written. I just love like the mess and how everything just all mixed up together, but at the end it's like, wow, you're right. So this is a really good one. If it ever comes back, I would love to be cast in it because I had so much fun in it. But if I don't get cast in it, I would still love to go watch it because it's just so good. Like I remember after I was in it, I was telling like my family, I was telling my friends, I was like, "This is such a good play. Read it," because it's just so good. I'm doing a horrible. I'm so sorry, Preston. I'm doing a horrible job of like summarizing his play. It's so good.
So just kind of moving to another topic. I remember reading a little, I guess like a little snippet expert of something that you wrote called The Power of Kindness to the Coalition of Asian American Leaders. Can you share that for us about what you wrote and your experience?
Yeah, my friend City, I think she was the one who shared it to me. No, my friend Katie, yeah, she shared it to me, and I was like, okay, sure. I would just quickly submit a story, and um, it happened. I think the first year when I moved up here to Twin Cities, and I was riding the city bus, um, from home to work and things like that. And it was during winter. And I remember, like everyone just goes on the bus and they just put on their headphones and zone out the world, right? That's what I was doing after a long day of work. And I remember hearing like, I don't know how long the song was going and how long the lady was screaming, but all of a sudden I heard the woman like kind of next to me. She was like screaming, "This guy is saying really horrible things to me. I don't like what he's saying. Someone help me." And that's when I finally paused my music and I was listening, and then nobody did anything. It was only me and that woman who were like female, right? Everyone else were men, grown men. They're probably like in their 40s and up, and I'm probably the smallest thing in this bus, and no one stopped. She even told the bus driver, she's like, "I need you to help me with this guy." He was saying very vulgar things to her, and even I was listening. I was getting very uncomfortable, and nobody did anything. And I remember I was just my face gets really hot and red when I get angry or like I get scared. And I remember just sitting there, and my music wasn't even playing anymore, and I was just shaking because I was very angry. I'm like, no one's helping her, and second, I was like, I want to help her, but I'm going to get hurt. Like the whole you don't help someone because you might get targeted kind of feeling. And I was just so upset. And then it made me remember that when I was in middle school, I was bullied. I was bullied in my Spanish class, and no one did anything. It happened right in front of my teacher when we were watching movies. So it was like there's nothing to distract the teacher, and yet he did nothing. And I was so embarrassed during that time that I ran out of the classroom crying because no one helped me. And because that memory came back, I just couldn't let her feel the same way. Like it made me so angry. So I was like, no, I'm going to help her. And I remember I read this one article where it's like how to overcome bullies or hatred and things like that in a subtle way. So I remember reading this article where it says that if you happen to be in like a bus, you can go stand next to the person and start a conversation and direct the um, the bully to do something else, or that he no longer has that intention, he'll stop. So okay, I'm gonna try that. So I got up from my seat and I went to her and I was like, "Hi," both of them stopped. The guy stopped talking to her and the girl stopped like yelling back at him for him to stop. And she was like, "Hi," and I just started talking. I was like, "So, how's your day going?" It was just a very normal, casual conversation. And I found out that she was going to a friend's birthday party, that they've been friends for 12 years. She's trying to get her bartending license, so we actually had a conversation. And the guy that was targeting her actually did switch to me, exactly like how I predicted, where he started saying very vulgar things to me as well. And I really, really didn't like it. It made me very uncomfortable. Like felt like shivers by what he said, but I was like, no, I'm already here. I'm going to save her. So I just kept talking to her and I was like, oh, okay, that's great. She was telling me more about her friend and things like that and how excited she is for this birthday. So she was going to. And then the next stop, the guy just stopped and he left. He got off. And then a couple stops after that, then the woman thanked me and left. And I was like, that's how you do it. It's like, it was like, even talking now, I'm still so scared by the memory because what am I, the small little 5 foot, 4 girl going to do with this huge man that's like saying such horrible things? So like, what can I do? There's nothing I can do. But I, I, I'm still so amazed that I was able to get the courage because of from my bullying experience that I was able to help her. And I was like, that's how you do it. It's just kindness. Like if you show kindness to someone else, you can divert bad things. Hopefully, that's, or at least that's the goal. But it's just, you can't, if you can, don't let people feel hopeless and alone, because like, and I remember I was walking home after that when I got off of my stop and I was just crying because the memory of me being bullied came back. And I just remember feeling so ashamed, so embarrassed, and so sad and scared that I was all alone. But then like, I was crying, but I was like, but I helped her. Hopefully this won't traumatize her like how it did me when I was younger. So it's like kindness is so powerful. Like it really is. It doesn't matter if you have all the money in the world or you're gonna say all these things to help the world. It's like, no, if you actually do it, with a kind heart and with good intentions that you don't care for anything back, it can do something. Who knows? Maybe she did the same thing for someone else who was getting bullied. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I should share that story.
I remember when I saw it and I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, like that took like a lot of courage to do because I can imagine myself in that situation and just like being shaky and just like probably like frozen into place. So when I read it, I was like, wow, like it kind of like encouraged me to like I want to gain that courage to also like stand up for others. But I think that's like amazing thing for you to do. Like I can't imagine being in that spot and like being the other like the only other woman in the bus too to like actually do something about it.
Yeah, I, it still just amazes me that no one moved. I think that really helped me and my experience with bullying. That I was like, someone has to do something, and it turns out it was me. It's like you just have to. So, like, my aunt told me this. I still use to today, where she's like, you know, people who are really shy, very shy and very quiet, they don't really stand up for themselves. So when they had to stand up for someone, that's where the courage comes in, you know. And it definitely happened that day where I would have never really done it, but because it was to help her, I was able to. But I'm glad you like the story. I appreciate it.
So just about your experience of being bullied back then, how did you get like through that experience? Or like if you didn't, like how I don't know, how did you just like cope with it, I guess, or in that time?
Yeah. Well, I remember during that time, like throughout like all of school, I was always the quiet girl. I always chose the seat in the back. And it's interesting that now I'm an actor. When I was the girl in the back, it's weird how this world happens. But yeah, I was always really quiet and very timid, and I mind my own business. I never tried to get any attention. And for me to have gotten targeted like that was really scary. That's like for someone who has up to middle school has always been like hidden in the shadows, like no one cared about. Bam, now I got attention, and bam, it's the worst kind of attention, getting bullied. Like I remember I was yelling at him to stop too, and he wouldn't stop bullying me. He didn't like physically hurt me or anything, but the way he was taunting me was just very, very it was just really, really bad. And I think just I was never able to fight against my bully during that time. It's sad to say. I wish I had the courage to like stand up and go up to him and be like, stop. But I didn't. I ran out crying, right? But then I think over time I start to find who I am and those things. And overall, like once you kind of hit high school, some people do mature up and they kind of stop bullying or I just really learned how to like really not let it bother me because it's their own problem and whatever. Oh, also, with the power of kindness, my bully, because like in my city where I grew up, like if you go to the middle school, everyone kind of goes to the same high school. I'm sure it's like that everywhere, but so I remember my bully, I was in the honors classes and he was always in the regular classes, which is fine. But then I remember in junior year, he came to my honors English class. And that was where he wasn't necessarily a bully, but he was excluded from everyone else, right? Because he didn't belong there with us. Because, us honors students, we are always together, so we know each other. And he's the new kid from the regulars class joining us. And I remember this one time we had a project where we had to choose a partner, and everyone chose a partner, and he was sitting all alone. And I was like, "You're my bully from 3 years ago," but I went to him and I partnered up with him because I was like, "You have to pass on kindness," right? So I'm like, "You bullied me." He was my first bully experience, right? Where I was so embarrassed running out of there crying. Like, how embarrassing is that as like a seventh grader? Like, that's so embarrassing. But like, I was like, I can't let him feel the same way. So I became his partner and he did mature. I don't know if he remembers bullying me. We never talked about it during that project, but like I felt better. I was like, being the bigger person, the kinder person, it it makes it builds my character. You know, hopefully he is in a good place and all that. But I'm like, for me, having overcome all that and knowing who I am and choosing to be the good person or a kind person or a person who gives hope to others. I'm like, bullying will continue to happen, but it got nothing on me. Like I will work past that. And if I see bullying, I'll work hard on stopping that. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, no, yeah, it did.
That's hard. Bullying is such a horrible thing. I really hope it stops. I never bullied, and it just needs to stop. I don't even get the point of it.
Yeah, I think it's like something encouraging to hear, because I think oftentimes if you get bullied, then you kind of want to take revenge on your bully, but then like instead like you showed kindness to your bully even though he may or may not have remembered, or maybe he didn't even like know that he was intentionally, I don't know, but like whatever the case is, like it's just I feel like maybe it's just me, but like I probably would hold like grudges against people that have been mean to me or bullied me, and probably want like the worst things for them to happen because they've like hurt you, you know.
Yeah.
So I like with people like me, how can you like give like advice to like show kindness, like even if it's like I don't know, like just like small things to like think about to ourselves, or like I don't know.
Oh, well, it's hard. Like, I'm not gonna try to go out there and be like, I'm spreading kindness everywhere. Like, I have moments too. I have biases where I'm like, I don't feel like being nice, or no, that's my C. I ain't gonna help, you know. So there are times, and I'm just like, just be nice to yourself if you choose not to help. But when the time really calls for it, and you really see that they are in a bad place where they really need help, like my bully, like I remember sitting there going like, should I help him? Should I help him? I remember everything, but I was just like, but I just can't let him, for me, I just can't let him sit there, so it just, when the moment comes and if it bothers you so much seeing that person that, once hurt you in such a bad place, and if you really want to, you can help. I'm not saying should, I'm not saying should if you're not comfortable with it, but if they are in a really bad place and you can, then you can. That didn't really motivate you to be a better
Yeah, but
person.
I think that makes sense though. Like that's true too, because I think it's like different situations, or if someone has like really, really, really hurt you and like or like traumatized you to the point like you can't take that step to help them. I think it also makes like it makes sense that you say that you can instead of like you should, because if they can't have like like if they, because I know there are probably people who like just like break down if they see someone that has hurt them, and it makes sense that they wouldn't be able or can't help this person. So I like how you chose your words to say it. Like if you can, then yeah, do it. But if you can't, then that's okay too. So
I remember a bit because I at the moment I didn't see it as bullying because I don't know about your experience, but I think he was just saying it like straight up to you like this is definitely bullying. But I remember for me it was more of behind the scenes, like people would come up to me and be like, I heard this about you. Do you know what they said about you and stuff like that? So in my case, I didn't know if it was real or fake and stuff like that. But then like how you said, like if you can do it, then just do it. And so after a few years, like I met this person again. Like okay, so it was during middle school, and I met them again in college.
Oh,
Yeah. So it was in middle school, and we met again in college, and so that's like super long. But like how you said, it's such a traumatic experience that you remember everything about it, no matter how long it was ago. And I remember I'm like, okay, I've changed. I know I can talk about this. I can handle it. And so I remember bringing it up to him. I'm like, do you remember what you said about me? Like I was just so confident in the moment because I felt like I can do this. So I'm just gonna do it. So
yeah.
I brought it up to him, and then they ended up not remembering it. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I have this image of them that they're still the same person as they were so many years ago, but just like how you've changed yourself in those years, you can give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they changed too. So I think that's the part where like as you grow older, you don't have to be scared anymore of the same person that hurt you in the past. Like maybe they won't hurt you again because just like you changed, maybe they changed. So that's kind of what I remembered and what came to mind when you were talking about the advice that you were giving. So
Yeah. Yeah, for me, like, yeah, everyone grows, everyone matures, and all that good stuff. But I'm like, it still doesn't justify that you bully someone or that you hurt someone, right? Um, but I'm glad that you've grown.
mhm.
I'm still mad. It doesn't justify. Hey, you've grown. You know.
Yeah. And I kind of just, I don't know, like how Fanola was saying, like, you know, you kind of had the revenge thing. I remember thinking, like, okay, now that we're good friends, I'll be like that living reminder of what you did and stuff like that, you know? So sometimes I'm like, when they kind of make me feel a certain way, I'm like, just remember what you did or whatever, you know? But yeah, just like, even though it's done and over with, I forgave you, stuff like that, it's still something that happened. So, you know,
I forget the butt.
yeah,
Oh, so you guys are friends now? That's great.
we're really good friends. Surprisingly. But
This person apologized though.
I remember crying about it, and then I was like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Like even though I brought it up to him, I just couldn't get over the fact that he didn't remember what he did. But then like the next day they came up to me first and was like, hey, I want to talk about it. Like, can you tell me what happened, how you felt? And I think that's the moment that kind of pushed me to see him differently than how I've been seeing him all these years.
You just never know. So first of all, just don't be a bully, but
Yeah.
you just never know where life will take you. I think for my bully, because I saw him he was so small, being the only person in the honors classroom that the hate just really couldn't fight like my care for him. That's just like, I can't leave you when you're like, he was sitting there like hunched on his desk, and I'm just like, fine, I'll be nice. I'll help you out. So I think it just, I don't know, when the time comes, you feel like it. But I'm really glad that you actually became friends with your bully and you talked to him and everything. That I never talked to mine, so see, so that's something that I wish I did, like how you did. At least bring it up, because if I had known that, post college and everything, I would still be crying about it. I should have talked about it, find closure, right? To be like, do you even remember? Why did you do it? Just just for closure. So I know, so you probably have closure on your bully. I probably don't.
Yeah, well, I think that is all the time that we have. Dara, thank you for your time and thank you for joining us for this PS video.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, thanks for having me. This is fun.
yeah, it was nice kind of getting to know you. Like I've seen little bits of you at like events that we've had, but it's nice getting to know you better from here.
Thank you. I wish I got a chance to ask you guys questions too, because
Definitely, we'll have like another time. Come back and you can like ask
yeah,
us questions.
yes. I just love having these kind of conversations. It's just really fun. Like tonight happened to be about me, but I'm like, I want to know about you guys. And ask for another time.
Yes, another time. And to everybody, thank you for watching this episode with us today. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and yeah, comment below. And also, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram and our Facebook.
Woo!
Yay. Bye.